Welcome to Discover Soul Rest. These short videos are designed to give your heart and soul a breather in the midst of these busy times. Each video includes a little story, a short teaching on a favorite Bible passage, and a description of a practice that you can use to connect with Jesus, the giver of soul rest. A few years ago, I was in a very busy season of work. I felt overwhelmed by writing deadlines, speaking engagements, piano teaching responsibilities, and also work at my church. There was so much on my plate that I really felt I needed some time alone with God. I needed some rest. And yet I didn't really have an extended period of time to give to that. So I decided instead to sort of take mini breaks. And I set a timer while I was working at the computer. Whenever the timer went off, I would stop what I was doing for a few minutes, close my eyes, and put myself in God's presence. Sometimes I would read a little bit of scripture or listen to a song. And simply stopping and resting in God's presence for a while helped me get through that busy season without becoming totally overwhelmed. Well, at times we all need an extra measure of God's presence, an extra reminder of God's love. When I look at Psalm 136, I see someone that needed to have a reminder of God's love also. Psalm 136 must have been written for a worship service, I think, because every line is repeated by another line that says, "For his steadfast love endures forever." Let me read a few of the verses. "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. Give thanks to the God of gods, for his steadfast love endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his steadfast love endures forever. To him who alone does great wonders, for his steadfast love endures forever. To him who by understanding made the heavens, for his steadfast love endures forever. To him who spread out the earth above the waters, for his steadfast love endures forever. To him who made the great lights, for his steadfast love endures forever. The sun to rule over the day, for his steadfast love endures forever. The moon and stars to rule over the night, for his steadfast love endures forever." And it keeps going on like that. That rhythm of reminding oneself of God's steadfast love is what we can do even when we are in the midst of a busy season. When we remind ourselves of God's love, he gives us the strength to complete our tasks. I see so many benefits to reminding ourselves of God's love. When we remind ourselves of God's love, we don't feel so much pressure to perform and achieve because we already feel loved. We don't feel so bothered by the rejection of other people because we feel loved by God. We are able to love others because we are filled with God's love and then are able to share that with other people. We can work out of gratefulness instead of seeking to prove ourselves because we already feel confident in God's love. So I suggest to you that when you are in a busy season or just a normal season, that you take time to remind yourself of God's relentless love, of his steadfast love for you. And you can try my little practice of setting an alarm or a timer to go off at several different times during the day. And then when that timer goes off, you simply take some time and put yourself in God's presence. You can close your eyes and remind yourself of a favorite verse about God's love, or you can listen to a song that sings to your heart about how much God cares for you. To help you with the music part of this, I have made a YouTube playlist of songs about God's relentless love. I will put the link to this playlist in the description below this video. I've also written a little ebook called Live Loved, 5 practices that will help you fully experience God's relentless love. The practice of setting a timer is one of the practices in this little book, but there are 4 other practices that you can use to learn how to live in God's love. I've also written a new book called God's Relentless Love, and this book will come out on December 15. This book is a study of Hosea and talks about how God continually pursues us and wants us to live in an intimate relationship with Him. I will also put a link to more information about that book in the description below this video. I hope that you will learn to live loved and use the practice of setting a timer to remind yourself of how much God does care for you, how He is always with you. If you enjoy these little videos, would you please subscribe and then share them with others so that they can discover soul rest too?